Executive and Nominating Committee meeting for January 14th, 2025, and by call to order. We have a roll call.
Reverend Gordon,
Present.
Mr. Arnold,
Here.
Ms. Banks, Ms. Bell,
Here.
Mr. Brown,
Here.
Ms. Clark, here, Ms. Friedman,
Here.
Ms. Harding, here, Ms. Rodriguez, Major White, here.
Thank you. Recognition of visitors. All right, thank you. This time we'll have the executive and nominating committee minutes from May 14th, 2024.
A motion. Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Those abstaining? Motion carried. All right, the trustee membership and attendance update.
Okay, yeah. All right, so draw your attention to item number, or page number 3. Just wanted to provide you a summary of where we're at in membership. It's important that we have a plan for making sure that our 18 slots are filled with appropriate, high quality individuals such as yourselves. So that we can appropriately do the business of our system. Remind you, things have changed a little bit over the last year and a half related to how the board is actually formed. Last October with the, so I guess it'd be October 23, the rules changed related to how the board gets appointed. It's now 2/3 the county commissioners, 1/3 the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services. And the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services has the responsibility to assure that there is membership represented the 6 constituent groups that I always reference, if you recall. Family members of individuals with mental health and substance use disorders, individuals with substance use disorders or mental health, and clinicians for both. More than one, an individual can fit in more than one category. But while the State Department has the responsibility to assure, both parties have the responsibility to appoint. And those items. So where are we at right now? So you all know that our esteemed trustee, Ms. Erica White, has been elected. She is currently in Columbus, and she has resigned effective January 1st. That leaves her position open. And we also, some time ago, had Brian O'Connor resign. He was identified as an individual that represents mental health, receiving treatment services. And then Ms. White was representative of an individual, a family member of an individual. In filling those 2 vacancies, we need to at least assure that we get somebody who has is receiving mental health or has received mental health services in the past. We don't necessarily have to fill Erica's position with an individual who, a family member of an individual receiving services, because we have more than enough of coverage for that. However, it's probably always a good idea to lean towards that way. So these are both Ohio Mass appointments. And they've been notified of the vacancies. They will work with us to identify individuals, and then we get to make recommendations. Applications will be filled out. And while we don't want this to linger too long, we might focus on filling Mr. O'Connor's seat first and then the other. If we are able to do both at the same time, that'd be great. But my feeling is we should focus on the longest opening, the opening that's been there the longest first. And so we will need to do an advertisement and always take opening, take recommendations.
How extensive is the advertisement?
We normally just submit a public notice to the Blade, and we do not pay for advertisement. They oftentimes will just put it in the little section, to the right or the left, I guess it would be.
Do you ever get any responses that way, or is
Oh,
it
sure.
typically word of mouth?
I think we get a healthy dose of both, yeah. And normally it's in conjunction with openings for the county commissioners, so the county commissioners handle that. But this time it's not their opening, so there's no reason for them to participate in this.
Okay.
But there will be reason to participate come later this year, because we have 4 county commissioner appointee terms that will end on June 30th, 2025. Ms. Howe, Ms. Carter's first terms expire. They are eligible to serve another 4-year term if reappointed by the commissioners. Dr. Abdulmalek Sadah, he actually filled a partial term that expires on the same date, June 30th, 2025. But he can actually serve two 4-year terms after this term expires. And then, sad to say, Ms. Senna Friedman, her term, 2-year terms will expire on June 30th, and she is not eligible for reappointment from the county commissioners. However, she may be eligible for reappointment in the open positions if they are there from Ohio Mass.
Maybe Erica's position.
Correct. So there's options there. I will work with the reappointees. Actually, I'm gonna have to work with the county administrator and the reappointees to seek reappointment. They have a new process that we experienced last time that requires advertising and then consideration by the county commissioners. I'm not clear, I mean, in years past, reappointment was automatic. I'm not sure that's the case now because of the new policy. So we'll have to go through it and see how that all works. Okay.
Do we need to be prepared with if they don't reappoint somebody, with a list of individuals that we would like, that,
My feeling is I'll have to read the policy, but their policy on appointments. My feeling is we will be required to advertise,
which would garner us some individuals that would
and
be
then we
interested
would make our recommendations.
based off of who responds. Got it.
And then just kind of a little nuance to that. They actually do the advertising, at least that's the way it's happened in the past, and then they informed us that it. Now, my sense is that you would want to follow through with the reappointments. Because also, like Dr. Sadah fills a critical role as a psychiatrist. And then he was appointed for that purpose. And obviously, they value experience, but that is all up to the commissioners. We do not, we are afforded the opportunity to make a recommendation, but that is not necessarily something that they have to follow through on. They have in the past, we're thankful for that, but they are free to decide however they want to decide. And then what we also do is we make it a habit of making sure you're aware of the attendance log. And we've included that in the packet. Pretty good attendance, I must say. I mean, we had, as you guys recall, if you miss 4 meetings in a rolling 12-month period, I have to, by law, notify your appointing authority. If you miss more than 4, what we do is we reset the 4. So if you miss 4, we issue the letter, and once the letter is issued, then we reset the 4. So you have to miss another 4 before you get another letter. That's why somebody can miss up to, 6 or so meetings and only still receive 1 letter. In the past, when we communicate the attendance via a letter, we also discuss with the appointing authority what actually, the participation. So it's not just, hey, the person missed 4 meetings. It's also, yes, the person missed 4 meetings, but they also attended 7 planning and oversight committee meetings, attended this and attended that, so that they get a full understanding of what your participation would actually look like. Because I think that's
And this is just reflective of the board meetings, not the planning
Right,
and
yeah,
oversight.
right. Statute only requires notification of missed board meetings. Now, in the several meetings ago, or maybe even was last meeting, I did say that House Bill 257 was up for passage, and that would allow virtual attendance. It did pass. It was signed by the governor, so in about 83 days, it will become law. However, there are so many nuances to it that I find it almost impossible to comply with. We'll present a policy just in case. We'll get a draft policy from our state association and I'll bring it out and we'll adapt it. But, it's not like you wake up not feeling well that day, so you want to participate virtually. That will not be allowed. You have to give 72 hours notice. There's all these little nuances. Now, that doesn't mean we can't work out what those nuances look like and create a process for that to occur. It's not what we thought it was going to be. So we should give heavy evaluation on if we even really want a virtual meeting policy or not. We should give heavy evaluation on if we even want a virtual meeting policy because of all
Those nuances
Right.
that come with it.
It's not required,
No, it is not required.
we would
But-
have to adopt it.
If you adopt it, you can have the meeting. If you don't adopt it, you can't. So there isn't,
Which way do you sway?
I love in-person meetings. I think we have great attendance in in-person meetings. I think we get much better participation in in-person meetings. I recognize that sometimes a planful attendance, like if you're on vacation and still I recognize there's some value in that. But if we have a full committed board, I think we're strong enough to overcome a miss here or there. So,
Yeah,
and I just think it's gonna be an administrative,
Nightmare.
that's the word, yes.
One of the main questions that I would have is, what about voting privileges for that?
So the law actually explains what you can vote on virtually and what you can't.
See, now that's where you start splicing hairs though, because you have to memorize what you can vote on and what you can't, and is there something in the meeting that you can't vote on?
Yeah, and that's the value of the policy, right? For instance, you cannot take a virtual vote on passing a levy or the levy necessity. Budget. You know, there's a couple of different things, hiring and firing. So they're big, broad-based things. But I think you gotta give public notice that it's gonna be a virtual meeting, and you gotta allow, the person on the other end always has to have the camera on. And they have to be able to obviously hear and speak. And so what happens in the middle of the meeting if your Wi-Fi goes out?
Yeah.
You know, now you're out, right? So there's.
It's probably best to just leave it alone.
Yeah, well, the state association is developing a draft policy for all of us, so at least we'll put it out there and have a discussion. But I think it'll be,
Well, you know, and then also looking at the attendance log, I mean, it doesn't really look too bad. It's
I
not
think
like
it's
we
great.
have, yeah,
I think it's great.
yeah, it's not like
Yeah,
we have
do
a.
not have the attendance
Yeah.
problems that a lot of folks
Yeah.
do.
And so, I mean, I think that if this was an issue, maybe we should consider incorporating the virtual attendance, but if it's not, I don't see what the need is.
Yeah, there's
We
just
always
some
have
limitations, like you wouldn't be able to attend more than a couple of meetings virtually, that kind of stuff. It's
Yeah.
not like you can just do all of the virtual attendance. So that's,
Just miss ever seeing everybody.
yes, ma'am.
The mental health treatment services, do those have to be provided by one of our? Okay.
It doesn't have to be an in-system.
Can it be any time in the past, or is there a?
Anytime in the past, it's wide open to discretion. We've had everywhere. Since I've been here, we've had representatives in the private, past services, current systems.
They just can't be funded by us. Am I right?
No,
Okay.
no, that's what I think we meant by in-system services, right? So, yeah, there's nothing that says you can't get, a board trustee can't get a service from.
Oh, okay, I was thinking the other way
You can't be an
around.
employee and you cannot sit on their decision-making board.
And I vote on issues that pertain to impact or protect.
Yeah, there would be a conflict of interest discussion, which has been followed routinely.
From my standpoint, it's a matter of, just for the record, I think on my personal attendance, I think I was off the board for a period, so I don't know if that is counted in here or not.
We're holding it against you, right?
Your fault. That was off.
Yeah, you know, that got biased. We will correct that
Yeah.
record, thank you. I don't know if you guys don't recall,
Why?
Calvin had a break in service. So we gave him,
I got dinged on here.
And we all know this.
Alright, we'll see.
Give him an asterisk.
Alright, Susie, that was a bad one to do today. Alright, anything else on that? We'll straighten that out, Calvin, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, trustee officer and committee chair dates, continue to page 5. As you know, the executive nominating committee is responsible for preparing a list of nominations for board and committee leadership positions for approval by the board. So it is recommended that the current chair and vice chair lead this process by identifying a slate of officers and committee leadership positions for nomination. This completed by May of 2025. For terms that will begin July 1, 2025 through June 30th of 2027. So that is the recommendation. And any questions? With that, we will now go to open session. Yes, sir.
Yeah, come on up.
Dr. John Neal was chair this morning, called from a golf course in South Carolina so that he could cast his vote on the levy. They put him on the speakerphone. If it was illegal, nobody blew the whistle on him. So this morning, county commissioners met. This is Lisa Sobiecki's first meeting. I told the staff, the suspense is killing me. Are they going to go back to the Pledge of Allegiance? During Pete Gherkin's time, I don't know what to call it, a moment of reflection. He asked everybody to stand and ask yourself what you could do for your county or something like that. They didn't do anything. They just went right into the agenda. I don't know if that's going to be permanent. They had a full agenda. Among the other things, they declared January as Stalking Awareness Month, and they had somebody there from the YWCA that gave a presentation on local statistics and things like that. As we meet, City Council is meeting over at the Government Center. Among the things they're doing, they're going to put together a 7-member review committee that's going to look at the mayor's salary and the City Council's salary. I don't know what their time frame is, but they'll look at possible increases in compensation. A little bit worried about this. On Thursday, you will have the Plan Commission meeting. I'm going to make a long story short story here. Last year at this time, the Cherry Street Mission and the Metropolitan Housing Authority came before City Council and the Plan Commission. They asked for a zone change for the land that is right next to the Cherry Street. And what it says over and over is multi-family dwelling. It says that both in the general information and in the staff analysis. And that's what they were granted a zone change for. So here it is, a year later, they're now asking for their, major site plan review. And this is only going to go before Plan Commission. It's not going to go before City Council. And it gives a bit more detail. It's going to be 65 units, 65 one-bedroom units for the chronically homeless. That's what they call them, the chronically homeless. And that's confusing to me. That's very vague and very confusing. I thought this was going to be for families. With families, it's mostly financial. They just can't find an affordable place to live. With the chronically homeless, that's a bit more complicated. There are issues of mental health and substance abuse. And it doesn't say anything about what they're going to do to try and help them with their problems. I know they can't force treatment, but they will go before the Plan Commission on Thursday at 2 p.m. I hope that the Plan Commission asks a lot of questions. What are you going to do to try and help them with the reason that they're homeless, because usually there's pretty good reasons for that. I'll find out, but this does not go before City Council. I believe this is the last step before they can actually proceed with this project. It'll be at the 1400 block of Monroe Street, right next to where Cherry Street is right now. And my editorial comment, this is the front page of the Detroit Free Press today. This is the Ethan Crumley, the young man that shot up his school in Oxford, Michigan, killed 4. This was 3 years ago. Now, his mother and his father are both serving time, and it was a precedent-setting case. Now, his mother's lawyer is charging that the prosecutors in Oakland County, they did a couple things. One, they early on signed agreement with school officials and gave them complete immunity. And they spent $100,000 on 2 PR firms. One was Identity and one was Moment Solutions, in order to dig up as much dirt as they could on the parents, to put together a smear campaign. And of course, they got national attention when they convicted these 2 parents. Now, Jennifer Crumley, she is not going to win any awards for Mother of the Year. But still, this is a good example of what I've always said. It's wrong to just go after the families. And I'm glad to see this, because I hope that prosecutors across the country are looking at this and saying, hey, if I spend all my time and a lot of the taxpayers' money just going after the parents while at the same time cutting deals with the school so that they won't face any prosecution, it might not be such a good idea, and it might come back to haunt me. But there is no closure for the people affected by this shooting 3 years ago, because here it is, front page news, because they only went after the parents. And it's a good example of what I've always said. We ignore the families of the mentally ill until there's a tragedy, and then we blame them. And we shouldn't do either of those things. And that's my editorial comment. And sorry about the feedback. You want it?
Second.
Alright, moved in second, question? All those in favor?
Can I do a roll call?
Roll call.
Mr. Arnold,
Yes.
Ms. Bell,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Clark,
Yes.
Ms. Friedman,
Yes,
Ms. Harding,
Yes.
Major White.
Yes.
So, just so everybody, if anybody's watching on the live feed and here, we do not expect to come out of executive session with any other decision, or any other public comment. So, once we come out of executive session, the meeting will adjourn after we come out. We are going to kill the live feed, so that, Credio can pack up for the evening since there won't be any other business. Yeah. Well, no, you can't remain here. You gotta go in there. All right, we're in executive session.